Regrets in the Royal Rugged Deluxe. She wanted to write a love letter. She tugged at the cord on the desk lamp. A golden circle of light unfolded under her typewriter. She ruffled her dark Roman holiday haircut and remembered his stubble. She cranked heavy vanilla paper into the even heavier machine. She bit the pearly smooth nail on her left ring finger and remembered the creases at the corner of his eyes. She felt his hands on her as she settled into the smooth concavity of the old wooden stool. She bit her lip and placed each finger precisely over its appropriate home key. Her eyes focused on the wavy thick glass of the window. She did not see the autumn-clad aspens waiting for winter coats just outside in the dusk. After several minutes, she began to type with the rhythm of a particularly percussive pianist. The words softened into swirling sighs as they spooled through the air. Dear Sir, I fell in love with you on the streetcar. You wore the charcoal gray overcoat and that lovely red scarf. You were reading the Rocky Mountain News while we rumbled up Colfax. The sunset painted your eyelashes into a tattoo filigree on your cheekbones. Dust motes swirled around your profile. Your paper was a net of sunbeam-soaked serifs. The sun tipped over the foothills. You smiled at me in the sudden shadow of the mountains. It was not the smile I had assigned you, the man I built with the sun in my eyes. You did not see the sun. I did not see you. So very sorry. L. She pulled the paper out of the Royal Rugged Deluxe, sending slow, loud clicks into the room and dusting her lips with regret. She folded it into rasping, creamy thirds and stepped across the shadows to place it on the polished entry table. She undressed her finger. The golden circle clicked lightly next to the note. She blinked at the clock in a rush of deflating relief that made her eyes damp and sent a million images scattering from her insides. She smoothed her full black wool skirt, cleared her throat. The rumble of an engine sent two growing golden circles towards the emptiness that had recently housed her feelings. They swept the front window and sent shadow aspens scuttling across her pale face. She slid into her red overcoat and picked up her silver-zippered blue suitcase. She stepped into the vacuum of the night. One heart-shaped aspen leaf settled into the dark floor behind her with the echo of the door. Car wheels turned on gravel. The house was dark when he walked up the drive that night. He frowned into the lines on his face. He hung up his gray overcoat and the red scarf she had given him one Christmas. A single golden leaf cracked under his shoe. He sent his smoky fedora sliding across the entry table, where its brim brushed the creamy creases of a love letter. Okay. So we're doing like some sad ones, some happy ones, so this one might be a little happier. I was mostly shocked that the little albino acid reflux inflicted Hispanic girl with the weight problem and the pink ferret eyes that did not function all that well as eyes had called me white. White lady, she said? As in, you can't tell me what to do, white lady? You are not my mama? For the record, I was profoundly glad I was not her mama. But both uncharitably and ridiculously, I wondered if her legal blindness was the reason she had identified me as a white lady in all caps. I grew up on the border of Arizona and Mexico, and I never really examined the fact that I felt like I was Mexican by association. Until that moment, my first year teaching in cursing distance from the Fulton Court projects in the near north side of Houston. Of course, I had to table my shock and impress the round and much wider than me little girl with my keen authority just then. I don't know what I did, but she was sufficiently ensconced in the corner for the next few moments while I pretended I knew what I was doing with the rest of the second graders. All of them were woefully behind in every academic major, and so clearly should have been entrusted to my 21-year-old self and some ridiculous scripted curricula designed to be idiot-proof and achieving pretty much the opposite of all good intentions. Because this is how we run education. I grew up in the white skin and didn't have to notice. That's the thing about privilege. It's invisible. I was teaching kids who were in color-coded city and asked things that shocked the hell out of my middle-class enforced colorblindness. Questions like, do you listen to black music? Or, what are you? You have black person hair, miss. Why? Etc. For the record, if I do have kinky hair, it snuck around my folks and I don't know where it came from. For the record, I was told to never say what color a person was, unless you preface it with the word beautiful, in which case it is acceptable. You never, ever, ever mention whiteness, it is assumed. Commenting on color is rude. I once told my mother the little girl who was invited over to play with me would look odd if she didn't wear bright colors. I was 8, and I felt I should communicate the fact that the girl was black, but I couldn't say that. All of these thoughts ran through my head, interspersed with spelling words and reprimands for the next hour of the second grade school day. Then I went home and told the story to folks who thought the point was the kid's defiance rather than her acumen. Yeah. Okay. We're throwing out the really sad one, so okay. This one might be a poem, Jessica, so you know. It's called Plans. She was taking down the skeleton when it happened. Every year for the last 20 years, she hung the plastic skeleton from the old dead tree in the meadow on October 1st. Then, when November 1st rolled around, she threw a ladder in the truck and went back out to pack up Halloween in an old Rubbermaid box. Her mother had done the same thing as far back as she could remember. This particular November 1st, she was up on top of the ladder when she came to the abrupt realization that she had no ideas left. She was a painter, but she had nothing left to paint. All her visions had dribbled out. She backed down the ladder with her skeleton rattling. This was a curious position to be in. She was only 36 years old, already fairly established in artistic circles thanks to her mother's legacy. And she had this newly irrevocable feeling of being done. It was like finishing a sink full of dishes in a clean, empty house with newly canceled plans and a fresh stack of library books. After an entire life under pressure to produce. The skeleton rattled merrily into the storage box, grinning maniacally back at her. That was when she began to sing. Okay, this one's more of an actual story, so you'll be proud of me. Sorry. Also, edits are written all over it, so if I get lost, just pretend, talk amongst yourselves, I'll find the right place. Okay. Do you even like Kirk Cameron? She was first chair flute, blonde bangs, an appropriately aquanetted cylinder, long permed hair, and the high-style halo of 1990 tweens. Middle school was much easier for the girls with angsty so-called lives, pegged pants, and aquanetted bangs. It was clear what my answer should be as a 1990 middle school girl. Perversely, I ignored the script. No, I hate his hair, actually. I don't like perms. She blinked at me, no doubt wondering what I was. I turned a lovely shade of fiery red above my mint green Mickey Mouse shirt. She was still looking at me. I scratched my nose to hide behind my hand while reflecting on the merits of just nodding and smiling. I never said what they wanted me to. Wow, and your family is so happy, right? Yeah? Gosh, sometimes I sort of wished I had some angst to work with. I feel like you are right out of the Brady Bunch, except your parents aren't even divorced. But at least you got braces, she tried to encourage me. The bell rang, and I was out of the band room and through the crowd outside like a north magnet avoiding scattered southern poles. I heard splashes and squeals as I sped past the La Ramada. Pedro and Angel, the notorious twins who had driver's licenses in 7th grade, along with records of the non-vinyl variety, had popped pee-filled condoms on the ceiling again. They did stuff like that all the time. The rest of us tried to dodge best we could. Once, Angel called me a bad word. I called him a bitch, and he laughed. Megan had quietly told me I should probably say asshole next time. But that seemed pretty mean. Kids came scattering out of the fenced Ramada, shrilly dripping and cursing. I sidestepped a few perm-shaking cheerleaders and bumped into a denim jacket trimmed with thousands of safety pins to make fringe. The jacket turned and shoved me directly into the line of fire. Warm pee dripped off the roof edge and hit my freckled nose. The stonewash turned back towards her friends, reeking of smoke and low academic standards. I am not sure what came over me, but between yellow drops of condom roof pee on my face and the general pressure to find some inks, I'd had it. I hauled off and slugged her right there in the back, which felt really awesome for about 5 seconds. Then she turned around. Jessica Davis. Her eyeliner was on level with Cleopatra under her purple eyeshadow, and she had a cut-off Metallica t-shirt beaded and fringed under the stonewash. She was drinking coffee from a styrofoam cup stained with black lipstick. "Did you hit me?" She was almost laughing. Such a scenario was so unlikely. She leaned in towards me, Mickey Mouse shirt, not even from Disneyland, Payless sneakers, jeans from the kids department that lacked in both environmentally deleterious wash methods and style, straight hair and braids that I wished looked like Winnie Cooper. I swallowed. "Oh my God, you have got to be fucking kidding me." She turned to her gaggle of stoners. She was muttering about probation. She was on probation with the actual police. I blinked and started to dissolve into the crowd, then walked furiously, hoping I would not puke on anyone. Almost to the bus, running footsteps caught up to me. Jessica's friend, Jennifer Martinez. She was also sporting safety pin fringe. How many safety pins would that take? And the time alone? I mean, do these girls have no homework? "You hit my friend." The makeup was masked, like under her teased bangs. You're lucky she can't touch you." I agreed wholeheartedly in my head. She slugged me in the shoulder, which even at the time seemed sort of nice of her. I was flinching for a face punch myself. "Don't do it again." She snarled and jogged back towards the lockers, Doc Martens thumping. I puked in front of every single bus rider and some walkers. On the bus, I sat quickly and compactly with a resolute focus on the window. I was going to have a bruise. Megan arrived fresh from chatting with the other Esprit-wearing girls, not a drop of pee on her. She broke out her Noxzema pads and passed them to the dripping victims at the back of the bus. She tapped my shoulder and gave me one too. It wiped off the pee, but I'm still working on the residue of middle school overall.